Welcome to the Inner Athlete Podcast, where we discuss all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring. All right, welcome back to another episode of the Inner Athlete Podcast. I'm here with Coach Matt today, and we're going to be discussing everything got to do with age states with all our swimmers. But at the time of this recording, it's actually coming towards the end of nationals as well. We actually got a few swimmers that have actually gone up to the Gold Coast, the sunny Gold Coast. Yeah. And based on the results, they're actually doing pretty well so far. But we'll go back to age states in terms of kind of the preparation. We'll talk about the preparation. We'll go through some of the results, some of the hurdles on more of an individual basis for some of the swimmers, and then we'll kind of just go from there. Actually, we can't forget Lockie because he had life-saving nationals as well, so technically he's still a swimmer. Let's kind of like just go through the results, and we'll just go through and we'll just reverse engineer from there.
Yeah, so I think for the 8 swimmers we had that went to states, I think just in that one specific event collectively they had about 40 PBs in total, so about 5 each there, which is obviously it's a massive achievement for a lot of them. Even just doing 10 events for some of them. Yeah, some 10 events for
14, I think.
Yeah, over I don't know, not many days. What was it, 3-4 days?
Prelims and finals.
Yeah. So a lot of events there. So to be able to get those times dropped, and a lot of them were massive drops as well, a few seconds in the 150 metre event, so that's big changes. So big testament to them and the hard work that they put in, so really good to see. Yeah,
and then I know a few of them were contending with injuries and issues outside the pool as well. I know with Mia, she came back from knee surgery essentially. She had two meniscal tears, and as a result, she ended up getting back to pretty much on pace with the old PBs. I think she did a phenomenal job to get back to that point as well. She was very happy, pulled up no pain. Yeah, preparation was really good. Everything physio said was on par with kind of how we saw the trend going. And then we gave her a bit of a 6 to 7 month period to get back into the States, and that was the plan with the coach as well. And we started working on some. Just obviously get back into the pool full time. That was the big goal. Then we started to work on more the finer things and just finessing with the technique and making sure that she was just getting into the right positions and feeling a lot more confident in the pool. And obviously she went back and she already had qualified for the nationals because of her times and previously, and then she did all right up on the Gold Coast as well.
Yeah, well I think we just had a look before. She already got some PBs in a butterfly time, which is good to see from prior injury, and especially for her being the stroke that caused injury in most things, of a very powerful dolphin kick or butterfly kick. So to have that confidence in herself to push herself obviously to the edge and faster than she's ever gone post injury is really big for her. On top of doing all the work here, I think we spoke about it last time. Wasn't the biggest fan of coming in 4 times a week, but because she couldn't do anything else, this is where she had to be. So that competitive nature in herself, drove her to come in and keep doing the work. And then when she get back into the pool, dropped down to 3 times here.
Yeah, when her frequency went up with her training in the pool, dropped back 3 times.
But you were able to juggle everything, especially with the programming side of things. So it's good to see with her.
Yeah, then we had Ash as well. She started with us earlier this year. I think it was a Jan or Feb. I can't remember now. But anyways, she came with us. Injury history was quite extensive as well.
Constant pain.
Yeah, literally constant pain. Every session we would hear something, or she'd come in. I was like, I'm feeling this, that, and the other. Okay, cool. We did assess her. We found some irregularities as well. Of she is quite mobile as it is, but I would say more lax.
Yeah, hypermobile and just falling into positions rather than
being able to guide us. Control it, guide herself into positions as well. In a controlled fashion, essentially. Addressed that in her first program as well. So we did what's called what's it called? Like a tissue. It's the tissue re-education stuff. So a lot of not heavy tempo, but like tempo focused training, focused on the eccentric and isometric positions for about a 6 to 8 week period.
Yeah.
We noticed her pain was actually starting to reduce from what she was accumulating from training as well. She actually noticed that her strokes started to improve, like her positioning, because the eccentric isometrics is position specific stuff as well. Mm-hmm. What I mean by that is like you're loading up, say like if it's a push-up hold, like a bar push-up hold, you're loading up with the stretches pegged, the shoulders are back, shoulder blades are like down and depressed, creating that space. So if you're doing your freestyle, it's allowing that shoulder blade to move out of the way to allow the shoulder joint to actually come through, and the arm to come through as well. She said that started to feel better, especially through her shoulders. I know she has a history of lower back issues and hip issues as well. Managed to address that. Started to get her squatting full range of motion in a controlled fashion. Then she started to move on to more traditional style that we like to do, which is get on the 1x20. Started to load her up with that, and she started to feel a lot more confident in the pool. She started to feel like her glutes were firing when she was kicking as well. And then so we really started to see a lot of changes happen quite quickly. Yeah. Because when she walked in the door, I was like, hey, I just want to feel better. I'm like, all right, let's just start with that. And her time started to drop. Her training started to improve, and she started to enjoy it. Yeah. Because everything started to improve, and she was seeing the gains that she really wanted to make. And that was really, like, if you look at it, that was her goal, is to get back into swimming properly. And obviously now she's back on competing at the national level. Yeah.
And I know for her, like, it was always the pain side of things was just a level. Each day was just like, what levels are going to be at, not like it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? It was like juggling training. How can I go into training and minimize the amount of pain I'm going to have, rather than like feeling good wasn't the norm. It was just like trying to limit as much pain that she was going through. So that was big for her. Then coming in here and just be able to slowly chip away at that pain rating, essentially, was really good to see. And I know specifically with her, I remember she mentioned that she really got a lot out of those potentiation circuits. So there's something new to her. Obviously, she'd done some training before, but having a structured, individualized thing was very new to her. So I know she found that really beneficial, especially on training days. If she did them, not training day specifically, but prior to competition. But if she went back to training that night, she felt really just explosive and movement-wise. And I know she utilised a lot of those same things when she went to States. I assume she's going to do the same things up in Nationals as well. Just pre-activation stuff. Again, help eliminate pain and just free up those same movements she's going to expect in the race and in her strokes. So hopefully that all carries over at Nationals up in Gold Coast.
Yeah, like we've used it for like, I don't know, since you've been here, really. Since you started here, we started using them, really.
Yeah.
So use it, pre-competition, we love to use them, all sports, and we just basically tailor it to the sport specifically as well. We just eliminate a lot of the ground reaction forces that can come with, some plyometric work as well. So they're more just getting the light and twitchy feeling or sensation. And she did respond really well to it. A lot of our other members really respond well to it. They tend to get that feeling of that potentiation effect, 24 hours or up to 48 hours. That's what the research has suggested. It's a short 30-minute circuit. Some of the swimmers actually do it together when they're going to race at the same competition. It's a fun time. They just come and get loose, have a chat, have something to eat, and then they head off, and that's pretty much it. We just kind of just send them up for what they really need to perform in. Yeah,
I know with her, Ashley, especially because of her back issues, having that little gentle reminder, especially with the exercise like, I don't know, a banded broad jump or something like that doing that the day before or the morning of, just that little gentle reminder that the back's going to be okay, and encouraging that hip extension and full, triple extension, the buzzword there. But just getting that full extension in that movement, so really helping with her dives and pushing off the blocks on turns and whatnot. Just really getting an advantage there. And I know looking at footage, she explodes off the blocks and gets really far, especially on her dives, like really underwater, maybe a little bit too deep, but that's a separate issue. But just her advantage underwater is really noticeable, which is good to see.
Yeah. Then who else? We had little Maddie, little dolphin, little torpedo.
That's right. Yeah. PB machine.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see here. I think she had 15 PBs for herself. The last competition. So massive. So she's gone taller again, just catching me, which is not very promising.
Scary.
Still 12 years old, so not great for me. But great for her. She's obviously gone through lots of these growth spurts and just dominating in the pool at the moment. On top of all the work here, her and her twin brother come down and train, which is good to see. Little Toby as well. But yeah, Maddie in the pool, just absolutely crushing it. Changed clubs recently, so getting a bit more, I guess,
exposure to different coaching styles as well, and
a bit more of a challenge, I guess, with the type of girls in the squad as well that are really pushing her. I think in the previous one she was just head and shoulders above everyone, so it's a bit hard to lead every set and not have the girls nipping on your heels a lot. So I guess if they're in an older age group, she's just getting that challenge that she really needed at the moment, and I guess it's paying off at the moment, which is good to see.
Yeah, and for her training wise, it's just focused on just overall just the long-term development, just get her stronger, get her more powerful, keep the mobility, make sure she can control herself in a full range of motion.
Yeah,
that's pretty much the main focus, and just get her to enjoy training and expose her to different exercises and maybe a few different modalities as well. And as a result, she still continues to move forward.
Yeah, and I remember we mentioned last time this round of training, this period of training, we put her on with the rest of the swimmers in terms of the same structure, whereas previously, because she was a bit younger, we just sort of left her on a more general plan. So now she's sort of matured both physically and I guess emotionally and mentally, so just putting her on the more structured plan and a bit more individualized, I think has really helped her as well. Just being able to periodize the power and the more explosive movements closer to these states and important competitions for her, which has been I think has helped big for her as well.
Yeah, that's been good. Who else? Shiloh?
Yeah.
I think Shiloh, leading up, she did really well. I think the times were starting to drop. We modified her training to focus more on her breaststroke kick, and we implemented exercises to help with the external rotation of the hip. Seemed to be doing its job. Her times, I guess, like race meet to race meet before States was doing really well. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough to get her across the line to nationals, but we got next year's another opportunity, or short course.
Yeah, missed out by 0.02 or something.
It was really not much.
Fingernail.
Yeah,
shouldn't have cut the fingernails before the race. Yeah, you would have been good.
Well, she's probably to cut the suit.
Yeah. But yeah.
But she did well training wise. In the gym, she's been crushing it. She's probably one of the, I guess, put in the stronger girl category as well. Her testing wise, she's done really well. With the fitness tests, she's probably one of the fittest as well. Like we do like an anaerobic test, anaerobic power. So basically, we do a sprint on the bike for 45 seconds, and she ranks up in like the top. Yeah. Basically, with the top, even pitting some of the guys out as well. Getting 20 calories in 45 seconds is actually quite difficult. Yeah. A highest score is like a 28. I think Luke got that, but he's a 400-meter sprinter, so that falls literally into that time frame for him. So that that's an anomaly. Yeah. Keep Luke out of the conversation. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, even most of the swimming boys, I know Lockie and that, they're in those low 20s. So for keeping up with the same fitness levels, be able to produce that same power for that extended period of time, it's really good to see for her. I know she plays other sports as well, and netball's a bit more fun, but I think all collectively it's all just combining for her to really help with the fitness and explosiveness there.
Yeah, and then I think recently she did hang power cleans at 40 kilos. That's actually pretty impressive, and she did for multiple sets as well. She did for triples over like maybe 3 or 4 sets, and she's really strong. Yeah. So. I reckon she'll probably be better suited towards short course if she's going to be displaying that type of power. Yeah. Especially if you got to push off the walls and
more turns and that.
More turns, and it's she's got a a good anaerobic capacity at the moment. So power output in that sense. Then we got I guess a new swimmer actually, Caitlin. Caitlin, 13 years old, just a gun athlete in general. I think she could go into any sport really. As a former gymnastics background, very just overall athletic, very elastic that I've noticed, and very like high power output. She crushed the chins when we first tested her. I think she got about 8 or 9, from what I remember. Her broad jump is over the 2 meter mark as well. I think anything over 2 meters for a female is pretty good in my eyes anyways, especially from the girls and the higher level girls that we've tested here as well. Her strengths are that she is elastic, but one of the things we've been focusing on with her, and I spoke to a coach about this, is just been more the consistency in water. So I think of swimming as more of a dance than it is more like a race, where it's very like pre-rehearsed. It's very like there's a defined finish point and a defined end point, just like a dance. A dance is like very choreographed. Swimming is very similar. You want to make sure that you've got the right amount of strokes, you want the right amount of breaths, your turns, you execute it at the right position as well. So it's very choreographed and rehearsed in that manner. So for her, it's more about just becoming more consistent. So she's basically gone straight onto 1x20 as a result. And the idea is to clean up a lot of those, I guess, because she relies a lot on her like elastic power. And the problem is with swimming, the only time you can really utilize that is maybe in the starts, more so in the relay starts, because you can kind of load up into it a little bit more. With a block start in an individual race, you're static, but then on the turns as well. So I think at short course she'll perform quite well and utilize her lower body power in that sense. But for her, it's more developing the consistency as well. But she's crushing it at the moment as well. I think she saw 14 PBs at States. I think she's got some more PBs at Nationals from when I last checked as well. So she's performing very well, and it's kind of a watch the space. And we're going to see how she goes over the next 3 to 6 months leading up into short course.
She's only been with us for 3 months now.
Not even literally maybe 4 to 6 weeks, I reckon. So even then, we're just starting to see some changes, and I know the coach as well has been modifying her technique as well to make it more consistent as well. So her big thing is getting that consistency, because she's already athletic and more in terms of power and speed and explosiveness. And she runs track as well, and she crushes that at school. But that's going to be her key thing. She's at the other end, where most kids are like aerobically fit, and they lack the power. She has the power, but it's more developing that fitness for her and the consistency and endurance. Who else do we have? I think we'll go with the Holly. So Holly's been with us for I swear at least 2 years now. She's been with us for a long time. Initially came to us with lower back issues, and leading up from short course season to long course season, we were able to kind of like really fine tune the preparation side for this one, and the preparation's been really good. In that manner, she did have some some health stuff that she had to contend with at the same time as well, but she's managed to kind of deal with that and move on as well, and made some adjustments to her programming. But she's absolutely crushing it at the moment. She pushes herself hard in the gym. It's amazing. She benches over 40 kilos or 45 kilos for reps without even using her legs properly. It's just the crazy part.
Pretty much,
upper body strength is just ridiculous at the moment, which is going to be exciting, because leading in the short course, I'm going to get her to use her legs and really drive up that weight for a bench press as well. And then we're going to start doing a lot more weighted chins. So that wasn't a really big focus that I wanted to push for her, is get weighted chins. I wanted to focus more on the power component, so we kept the reps low for her, but focused on really just kind of like almost like when she's doing chins or neutral grip, whatever it is, like focus on slamming the elbows back to get more lat in that. And it's been really well received from her. Doing a lot more like hanging position work as well. So when she's doing her leg raises, or just like tucking up her knees, like doing like a reverse curl or hanging reverse curl essentially.
Yeah.
Just trying to get her a bit more control, so as if she was in the pool, and trying to make that turn a lot more compact and tight for her as well. So she has the strength to get into position and drive out as well.
Yeah.
And it seems to be going pretty well. So she ended up paying, how many PBs did she get?
3 at States.
3 at States, and before that she was in New Zealand as well. So she was competing over, I think it was New Zealand's Open Age Nationals.
Yeah.
And she actually performed really well there.
Did really well there, yeah.
Yeah.
With a lot of older girls especially. So
yeah, like 21. I think the oldest one was like 22, I think, 23.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so she's,
just fine for a spot, hoping to get into represent New Zealand there.
Yeah.
So yeah. Big for her, yeah.
And it's been a big couple of weeks for her, so I think she'll be keen to mellow out for a bit.
She's been gone for like 3 weeks now, probably.
Yeah, she's just been. She went to New Zealand for a couple of days, raced there, and I think she had like a day here, and then
straight back to Gold Coast. Up to Gold Coast.
Up to the Gold Coast, and at least it's a nice time up there.
Yeah.
Hopefully, Holly, enjoy your time off while you're up there.
Yeah.
It's miserable down here. Then we had so we have Hannah. I know Hannah had just like a few, I guess, issues that she had to contend with, like whether it was a scheduling conflict, or I know that she's had some back issues as well that she's been contending with. So it was more about just, I guess the focus for her is be able to work with her and what she was capable of doing, and then working in conjunction with her physio as well, and just modifying the training around that. Technique-wise, she's been pretty good, but I know that she's not feeling as strong as she would hope for. Leading into States. So the plan is to go back to the physio, and just do like, all right, what can we do? Because we need to be able to start loading her up if we really want to develop her strength.
We just need it, because pretty much no actual loading, no loading of the spine in any way. So I think the closest we could get to any loading would just be a Bulgarian
or hip thrusts,
something like that. But again, nothing really where we're able to drive a lot of force production, a lot of power. Even overcoming ISOs is just, we've got to save it right before competitions or something like that, so we're not overtaxing her back there or anything like that. So yeah, this preparation for her, on top of, like I just mentioned, holidays and scheduling issues, just very interrupted, and I guess different to what we've seen in the past. So perhaps we didn't get the exact results that we were expecting and she might have been hoping for, but it wasn't far off in terms of times or anything like that. So it was right there in the ballpark. So I guess for her, the promising sign there is, like, even with the interrupted schedule, and she went away, like, it was only a couple of weeks she came back, and then had to go back into the States there. So it wasn't into the state competition. So it wasn't like that she went away and then got another 6 weeks to prepare for it. So at least for her, with the extended time off, we're still able to get pretty much PB times, or right around there. So hopefully this time around, leading into short course, we're able to just piece things together a little bit better. And with some new equipment we've got here, the GHD and reverse hyper, we can still load her in some aspects, and I guess maybe a bit more specific to swimming movements a little bit. Even if we can't produce the same force, with a deadlift or a squat or something like that, we can hopefully still replicate some of those movements a little bit for her. We'll play around with that. Yeah,
we're going to play around with that. Now we've got a lot more variety that we can pick from as well. So we're going to go a lot more generalised with her, strengthen up through the hips, glutes, you name it. We can do a lot more core work as well, which is good. On the GHD, which I think Matt was very happy about when we got it.
Happy,
I've been slamming it personally as well. Then we've got Lockie. So Lockie, he did compete at States, but I think it was just in the relays, from what I checked.
It's a bit of a flex just to say that competing in States is just a throwaway competition.
I know. But he did compete at Nationals for lifesaving. He did, previously to that, he competed at States for lifesaving, and pretty much, I think it was like 1/4, and the rest of the races, like, he did like maybe at least 10 events.
He came
top
first
3
in most of them, and then
it was
top 3.
Yeah, it was literally top 3 for at least 10 events. So Then you got prelims and finals, and life saving is obviously a lot more varied in terms of the conditions. While swimming is like, you really got like the temperature of ambient air, then you got the pool temperature, and that's pretty much what you could contend with.
Yeah.
Maybe humidity as well, depending on location. So if you're competing in like South Australia, it might be indoors, and it might be very humid indoors, whilst on the Gold Coast it was outdoors. It was like beautiful weather.
Yeah.
From what I was been seeing. It sounds like I'm very jealous at the moment.
Well, especially this morning, the fog and everything. It's definitely not summer down here.
No, it's atrocious at the moment. And then he shipped over to Perth. Yeah. Competed at nationals there. In terms of the conditions, he wasn't really pumped about the conditions because he's used to like more tricky conditions, especially in Victoria. Like Victorian conditions, like it could be wet. It could be like wet and windy, cold. Perth was just like calm and nice. Yeah,
you're saying there's a lot more, not home field advantage, I guess, but obviously the kids up there, it's
local knowledge,
yeah. It's a lot different to down here. Here, the life-saving season's only 6 months for them up in the warmer climates. They got year-round life-saving, so there is already a bit of a jump in the competition there. And then I remember him saying on the day, like, he's used to, like you say, a bit more turbulence in the water, a bit more. Because with the waves, especially with life-saving, it gives you a chance.
It's an equaliser in some regard.
If you make a mistake early or you're a bit slower early on, you're able to get a wave back in, or someone might be held up in the wave going out. So gives, like you say, a bit of an equaliser to the competition. So without that, it's sort of, for them, they sort of know the swell, they know the currents, they know where the best place to go is. So that's what they found up there. A lot of the Perth
way more strategy.
Yeah, had a bit of an advantage there. But in saying that, still had really good performances. Still got there in the top 10 for a few of them. So that's massive for him, especially Victorian's not really the biggest life-saving state in the country. Like I said, the warmer northern states a bit more.
New South Wales apparently did really well.
Yeah, so for him, did really well. He was really happy with his performance. Didn't feel like it was a waste of time going out to Perth. So he was very competitive in all the events, which is big for him. So I think the big thing with him and his programming, still followed a similar structure to a lot of the other swimmers, but I guess because of the variety in a lot of his events, I guess it was a bit more like a field athlete in some aspects, in terms of a bit more contrast training, a bit more speed and land focus to his training as well, because running is a big aspect to it, and having to carry things and running in and out of the water and technique and stuff like that. So he's been end of last year, he was a big part of the speed program there and came down most weeks, and I know he got a lot out of that in terms of improving his sprint technique and top and running on a track there. So I know they would have carried over a lot on the sand. It was obviously different conditions, but still for the most part
there's a crossover.
Yeah. So he had a bit of a different lead up and programming to some of these other swimmers here in terms of just the periodization of things, but for the most part, definitely still obviously helped in the water in general there. And then I think the last one I mentioned would be Alicia. Yeah, so another, not new one so much anymore, but sort of joined November probably last year, something like that.
Yeah, end of last year.
Yeah. So one of the girls from, I think might have mentioned it last time, but one of the girls from the Cheltenham swimming school, so the club, not school. So working with her through probably the last 6 months last year in the dryland sessions, and she came over to us here at Inner Athlete to get a bit more individualized stuff rather than the group training. I don't know, with her, she's really loving the training and the individualization and the focus more on her. Obviously swimming is an individual sport, so everything has to be catered to her own stroke, her own weaknesses and whatnot. So we're taking now a bit more of a look at a nutrition side of things, so see if we can make some changes there and just aid in her growth and development. But I know with this lead up to States, she was in a really good position. So still one of our earlier athletes, so we just sort of left her on the 1x20 in the generalized program leading up to states there. But yeah, she definitely got a lot out of that. Did 7 events or something like that, 7 relays or 8 relays.
Yeah, she did majority of the relays, yeah.
Yeah, so don't think they can get times from that, can they?
Only if you start.
If you start, yeah. That's right. So not sure about PB times, but I know she felt good and strong in the water. She's definitely feeling a lot more explosive. Big thing we've been working on with her is her starts as well, similar to Ash that we mentioned.
I'll hash that on that really quickly, because what we've been doing is like, obviously we've spoken about the programming last podcast. We spoke about the summary of short course states and what we did differently and what we plan on doing. Like we did 1x20, 1x15 circuits, yada yada yada. And this time around we wanted to go really focus on the starts, and that's why we noticed that sometimes the start can actually really not be the determining factor, but really set them up well for the race. And what we had done is, especially with some of the girls that struggle with hip extension, I guess really getting their glutes through, is been a lot of band resisted jumps and providing that feedback tool for them. And Ash and Alicia really fall into that category as well, where we actually want them to not utilize their quads as much. We want them to more hips than anything else. I think the one thing I'm starting to pick up more and more on is the greater the cross-sectional area of the muscle, the greater the potentiator or accelerator of the muscle actually is as well. So because of the way it's positioned, like the quads are great, they're going to help and assist, but they're going to be more about the knee extension with the kicking than anything else. Yeah. Right. So we want to make sure that the hips are actually kicking in a lot more, and this is a great exercise for all swimmers really, but for those who really struggle with the hip extension side. And because of the block start as well, what we've done is we've filmed their starts, and we've been able to film it maybe a month or 2 later and see what the changes is, make some minor refinements. We've done that with Holly quite a few times, and the coach has been very happy with the progress in his dive starts, just giving her 1 or 2 cues each time to focus on, get the feedback. How's it feel? Great, cool. Keep on with it, and we'll just keep building and building with it. Then I know with Ash and with Alicia, they did struggle with the hip extension side, so they kind of like their torso still tipped down, pointing towards the water, rather than trying to get their chest up and trying to get their hips to come through. And then as they start to go out, then they can start to almost like straighten themselves out in the air as well. And that's the idea of what we want to try and get all our swimmers to do with their starts. I think I've found it is the ones that tend to be a lot on the, I guess, the leaner, and the strength is not their strong suit, is where they tend to struggle the most with it. So that's been a big focus for a lot of girls. I know Shiloh, she's pretty good with it. Holly, she's pretty good with it, with her starts. Shiloh, we just got to get her to look forward. She tends to look at the person behind her on the blocks. But
front flip getting in the water.
Literally. But she said she did it one time where she looked down, and she said it was the best one that she ever did. And I was like, all right,
do it every time.
They just do it, do it till the cows come home. So that, and even I think Maddie was doing some stuff like that as well with hip extension, because she is like quite tall, and sometimes they can quite struggle to use their hips a lot more. So that's the one thing we've been focusing on, is that hip extension specifically.
Easy.
Cool. Then probably the last thing I want to relay, you've been doing a little bit of research into the swimmers as well, and you found like 3 key components that were really important for the swimmers.
So again, it's going to look bad, I forget the name of the study now, but I guess the main thing was movements here in the gym, or testing parameters was, the first one was bench press strength, or upper body pushing strength. I guess the easiest one to see is the bench press numbers. So using that metric. So obviously in any pushing or pulling movements, swimming is obviously going to be very important there. So the bench press strength was number 1. Second was upper body pulling. So they used the chin up, but I guess you could use a lat pull down or a chin up variation to test their strength there and measure that. And then the last one was lower body strength. So the testing they use in the in their test was a leg press, but I guess a squat would be.
Yeah, well, you can contend that a leg press is more of a hinge than anything else.
Yeah. So, using that. So the main 3 parameters there were upper body push, upper body pull, and a squat or explosive lower body movement there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the key lesson, like for, I guess, all swimmers and the parents as well. It's like if you develop those 3 key areas, also developing just, their capacity to rotate, lateral flexion, then also like hip flexion as well is probably another key one that tends to sometimes get neglected. Those are going to be the key areas moving forward as well. The one thing I would say is with swimmers, they tend to be very kyphotic. And then what basically means is they've got a rounded upper back because it's a lot of like pulling down where the shoulder's more internally rotated as well. And the one thing I've seen the most of is providing a lot more external rotation movements. So whether it is like a bench press is actually really good because it actually does get them to open up through their chest, their shoulder blades get pinned together in that sense. So push-ups where we're actually trying to get the shoulder blades together and it's less arms and it's more through the actual torso and the chest, and loading up the pecs in that movement. So it's less of a tricep and delt push-up in that sense. Inverted rows, seated rows where we again, almost like you want to try and round the back, then you're trying to open up the chest and try and get the shoulder blades.
Yeah, TRX rows are good for that as well.
TRX.
Getting both ends of the motion there.
Yeah.
Like you say, really rounding the back of the bottom.
Yeah.
Pulling up.
And give it greater capacity for the thorax. Then you've got the chest supported rows, really good. We do tend to program those quite a lot as well.
Yep.
I've been doing a lot more chest supported work in more like lateral raises as well with some of the swimmers, especially for the girls that do fly as well. Just help strengthen up their rear delts. And I think that's been the key thing that I've noticed is when they're doing a lot of pulling, they're going to go a lot more internal rotation. So think of like if you're standing and then your thumb's kind of like pointing towards you or pointing back, that's internal rotation at the shoulder joint. Basically, the shoulder joint capacity or the capacity at the shoulder joint is basically is very small at the front of the shoulder joint. Then what we want to do is create and actually be able to externally rotate and bring the shoulders back. So then the shoulder joint has a greater range of motion, and it doesn't matter where the hand is, that it's going to have a greater capacity. Otherwise, you just shorten its capacity and functionality of the shoulder joint, leading to actual shoulder issues and shoulder pain as well. And I don't think any of the girls have actually had like actual shoulder pain as well that I've noticed, which tends to be quite common, except for when Ash came in, but I don't think that's become much of an issue as well. But I have noticed that pecs are really tight.
Yeah.
Very, very tight.
Yeah. Well, you think about 3/4 of the strokes or 3 of the 4 strokes is literally everything's forward and dive bombing the shoulders forward to reach as far in front of their body as they can. So, like you say, just getting a lot of internal rotation. And overemphasized in those spaces.
Yeah, and obviously that helps the lats to kick in as well. But we need to be able to make sure we create the capacity to go to externally rotation. Open up the thorax and close it as well. Especially, and then what that does, it helps to create rotation because then you can open up one side, close the other side. So we're talking about the ribs and the rib cage itself. So when we close one side, we open up the other side. Creates greater capacity for the lats to be able to kick in, and also the obliques as well to be able to pull the arm through as well and pull you through the water.
Yeah.
Also, so there's a lot of things that we've been focusing on and with the programming, and we're excited to see where we go with short course. We've been doing reviews with each of the swimmers and see what we can address specifically, and some of them will address it when they come back, and some of them we've already started to address in the next programs as well. So it's basically a watch the space.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, nothing from me.
Cool. If you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. It really does help us. We really want to be able to get this content out to as many people as possible. We know that the youth athlete development space is a growing space. We know that we really enjoy what we do. And we know it's going to provide long-term benefit to everyone that is within this space as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Easy.
Done. Until the next one. See ya.
You have just listened to the Inner Athlete Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date with the release of weekly episodes. Be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram to get great tips on all things youth athlete development and youth mentoring.